Hello and welcome back to LEGO City Undercover. This is Bio Enchanted and today we're going to do a rerun of level 1, now that we have all the powers. First of all though, I have something I want to take care of to make the rest of this playthrough much less frustrating. First of all, of course, the usual cheats getting switched on. Quoting cheats is a little unfair, but yeah. There we go, that's the important stuff. And then we're going to go to the disguise booth because we have unlocked something very important at the end of the story mode. We have finally unlocked Rex Fury. He is the only character in the entire game who has the super strength power. So with him, we'll finally be able to actually complete the game 100%. Because now we can actually pull those orange handles. We won't need them quite yet, but it'll be nice to have him when we do. One thing I also quite like is you have a bit of a fast travel for going to the different levels, in that you can select the level icon on the map on the Wii U tablet, and it'll immediately take you to it. Which is pretty nice, I quite like that. So here we are back at level 1.
I'm not as fit as I used to be.
I think I'm gonna faint.
There better be some way across to that building.
One annoying thing I don't like with the replays is that you can't skip the interstitial cutscenes, only the primary ones at the beginning and end. Which is a little annoying when going to a cutscene heavy level.
This grapple gun is great.
But the cool thing is, like a lot of the LEGO games, in this game, when you collect everything in a level, you can just leave the level and it will just save everything you've got, so you don't actually have to beat the level, you just need to get the remaining stuff. For starters, let's just show off what's up here, because there's a balcony we couldn't get to before. Of course, we can see all that's really up here is a green colour gun thing. So let's break our way in there. Because while we have the super colour gun, I still want to show off as much of these levels as I can. And this is literally all that's up here, so... There we go. And yeah, we've pretty quickly got the Super LEGO City hero meter up. That's pretty satisfying when that just explodes upwards. So, this button that we can finally interact with actually opens up these lower rooms. Yep, we can finally explore the interiors of these levels. Of this level, or rather. The interiors don't really have much going for them, but they have enough that they're kind of, like, they're just kind of general office building, cafeteria kind of areas. Which makes sense for the kind of areas we're in. But it's neat to see the little obstacles in here, like the elevators and everything like that, and how you interact with them. It's fairly interesting, even if it is a little dry. But yeah, the puzzles in this area are fairly basic, so it's just come back here with the powers and get the stuff. So there is the vehicle we missed, Bastion. The other thing we already got here last time was the one shield, so let's just get everything else we can get now. Just kind of break everything just to make absolutely certain.
Woohoo! Okay, now I'm feeling slightly nauseous.
Now we have the farm where we can deal with that little blue plant in here as well. I quite like the replays of the earlier levels because they feel very different when you have all the powers, which is fairly cool because you can go all these different like rooms that you couldn't go to before, but all of a sudden realise just how much stuff there is to do in them. And other things like parts of the level that you don't really bother going to because there's just nothing you can do there yet. And then when you actually go there, there's actually suddenly all sorts of stuff you can play with there. It's a pretty neat way of keeping the levels interesting in the replays. And of course the later levels suffer a bit by giving you all the costumes from the beginning, so you kind of can get almost everything as you go through the level, but for these particular levels at the beginning, it definitely feels fairly rewarding. Rather going through the levels in the order that we do them in the game, there is, I'm going to be kind of plowing through the first 3 in the next few videos, because there's stuff that I want to get, certain red bricks that I want to make sure I have that will make the rest of the open world stuff much faster. For me, of course, the amount of editing I'm doing will mean it's about the same for you, but anything that makes quality of life for me easier will make this LP much easier to actually go through completely. Because honestly, we're not even halfway done with the game right now. We have so much more stuff to collect. I mean, sure, the videos and shop sessions I go through will probably mean the percentage ramps up fairly quickly from this point on. So when we just like, after a certain point it won't just be like 1% in a video, it'll be like a bit more than that in some of the later areas where we haven't really done anything. Especially when we actually go to the shop and buy everything. But it's still a fairly daunting challenge. But this is generally like the biggest game I own, I think, when it comes to that, I guess, kind of amount of optional stuff. I mean, of course we have other games that I played, like Horizon Zero Dawn and The Witcher 3 that rival it for amount of sheer stuff to do. But those two games are much more interesting about it, because it's not just the same kind of collectibles over and over again. And I'm not really planning on LPing those ones because I'm not very good at them. That tends to be the thing with me, is am I good enough at the games to do it justice? If so, I'll show it off. And if not, I want to show it off, I'll get good at it until I can. But I prefer also to do games that no one else has really done, because it keeps things fresher in the mind of everyone watching. Well, I've never played Bloodborne, but everyone's done a Bloodborne LP, so I'd probably never bother with that. So there's the thing we can do now, the construction work of all things. So yeah, this level actually requires you to get the very final challenge costume in the entire game. You have to have absolutely everything before you can beat this level, which makes it an interesting kind of a full circle situation we're in here. I quite like the way it's done with that, that's pretty cool. And here we have a little toy to play with. For some reason the control thing is right over here, probably so you can easily see what you're meant to do with it, which is drive it inside this little box and grab this character token. Everyone knows he's just a male Emilio Earhart. I quite like there's so much more stuff we can interact with now as well. It makes the return to this level in particular feel very satisfying. So all of a sudden there's all these routes we can take. And obviously there's a chicken glide there, but the jetpack's faster. There's not really any reason to worry about it anyway. So here we go. An interesting little puzzle is, well, for a given value of puzzle, is to power up this little box. So let's get that done. There we are. I quite like that. It's like the only place the solar panels actually appear in the entire game. But I quite like that some of the levels have that kind of unique stuff to them that make each level feel fairly special when you're doing 100%. Like, those plants and stuff are found everywhere, but those solar panels will only ever be found in this level. And that's a pretty cool kind of touch that I quite like. Yeah, studs are just kind of hilarious right now. We have no worry about ever running out of them. Yeah, a particular thing I'm going to be saving right at the end of the LP that I won't be doing quite yet, but I'm kind of leaving it till last because it's something that's fairly dry, but it's such a large chunk of the game I don't want to do it off camera, because doing it on camera as a kind of finale thing while wrapping up my final thoughts would be a lot more satisfying in general, for seeing the percentage just kind of spike, that kind of stuff. So for now, what we're doing is all these collectibles and in the levels and around Lego City to start with, just finishing exploring all the areas we've unlocked thus far.
Wow, I didn't even realize I was a gymnast.
we're nearly done now, actually, because we only really have to go through the first 2/3 of the level. Because the final third is mostly just free-running stuff that we don't really need. We don't really get anything during. So this level will cut short once I've got everything I need to get in it. But we're closing in on that point, so that's pretty nice. It won't take too much longer to get there. Quite like that this was very dense. You have all this stuff that we can now actually play with, like the farmer, you have the construction worker, and you have the robber, that's it, the criminal. The best thing is those are pretty much like exactly alternating from each other as well, which is quite neat on the wheel. It basically fills the entire wheel in one small area because of that, even if it's skipping 1/3 of it each way. There we go, there's that finally done. The annoying thing to do in this level can be those little antennas, because they are in like 3 different things, and that's always a little bit weird. It always kind of throws me off, because I'm always like, ooh, I should just look for one of those pink things, and it's just like, nope, that's nothing. I was like, ooh, where are you then? Hope you don't miss it. It's just, that's part of the reason I'm breaking absolutely everything, to make sure that I do not miss that kind of stuff, because those kind of collectibles annoy me. Because I prefer in like games when they're generally stable and you can tell what you're going to get by breaking any particular object. Much easier to keep track of that way.
And there's number 3. That just leaves the leader.
Over here we have a little astronaut box as well. So let's see what that leaves us with. There we go, dynamite. There we are. What do we blow up? What do we blow up? Ooh, that's what we blow up. Finally, we can actually enter this room we went across the outside of before. I quite like this room, even though there's really only one thing in it, because there's a lot of stuff to it, even if there's only one collectible here. I quite like all the people just hanging out in their offices, doing their work, just relaxing, drinking coffee. It feels like an actual like functional building, which it is. I mean, the ladder to the roof is kind of odd, but I can always just guess. Fire escape? Maybe? And that's me being charitable to the game, though.
Stop! I guess he's gonna be a bit harder to catch.
Well, we're not going to bother, because at this point, we actually have everything in the level. So let's just count it out, shall we? See what mysterious goodies we got. Fast build, that's nice. That's going to be very nice for future replays. Finally got those done. The Bastion, which is a pretty nice looking vehicle. Snake Squealer, who's a pretty nice guy, I guess, for a criminal. Combat Peters, the pilot, and finally the broadcaster van too. What's kind of interesting of it is it gives you the tokens in the order you got them, instead of organising them by character then vehicle, which would be a bit more standard, I think. But I think it's because it just treats them all as collectibles, all as one big category. I mean, it does split them up in other ways in the game, but as far as the levels are concerned, all those 4 tokens are just one kind of collectible, even if it splits them up in the tally to make it easy to find what you've already got. So now we're actually going to clear out the bridge, because we have plenty of time left after doing that level. I mean, we're only 15 minutes into the video. So this is going to be a heavily edited jaunt around Heritage Bridge, where we see what we've missed in this area. First of all, this nice little super build for the model citizen. I think it's quite fitting that that one gives you Frank Honey, because all the little mentions towards the end of the game about how he actually did get better as a cop. Never quite to the extent that he was needed, but by the end of the game he at least stopped getting in the way. And I appreciate that he did improve as a cop, even if he was still a blithering idiot about it. So these large arches on each side of the bridge, of course, are where the majority of our stuff is located. Pretty much the entirety of it, to be honest, is all on these sets of arches, on the suspension parts of the suspension bridge. So let's just hop across over here with the astronaut and see what there is around these little areas. Because it's always good to make sure that we haven't missed anything on these little ledges. Because while in this particular ledge's case there isn't anything to get, there will be on a ledge later on. So I always kind of like to make sure, because I'm never sure, like, ooh, is it this one that has the object? Is it that one that has the object? But here we are on the other end of the bridge where we can get this thing. And over here, under the second set of arches, where we can get this thing. And finally, we can navigate the second set of arches and get all the stuff that's around here. Let's head back across that way. I quite like the way this area is set up, because each of the arches is its own distinct kind of set of challenges. And that works on both the suspension bridges in the game like that as well, and that's pretty cool. Because it's trying to navigate across the entire bridge from arch to arch will be super long and boring. And also impractical due to the game's layout in general. But here we go. This is a free one I don't particularly like, because it starts in a really awkward way. But let's first start by climbing it for the first time, and we'll see what we can find on the way up here. I quite like this particular one, because it's a very long but interesting sequence navigating up the entire set of arches on this side of the bridge, and that's always pretty satisfying to play around on. And yeah, while you're on a ledge or on a free run sequence, you can't actually switch between characters, but I wanted to get out of the costume I was in, because any kind of flying equipment like jetpack or chicken in this sort of area is always a disaster, because the jetpack can totally get in the way of the free running sequence stuff, and it often isn't powerful enough to mitigate the lack of obstacles that you can actually navigate with it on. It can just be too easy to accidentally hit the jetpack button and accidentally fly somewhere where you're meant to actually grab onto something, and suddenly end up too far away from it to be able to actually grab it. And that is always mildly annoying. So the jetpack is something I only have on when I'm not doing free running sequences for that reason. Because it kind of screws them up a little bit. But first of all, I'm just going to check over here to make sure there's nothing I'll end up missing by doing this pig first. But luckily for me, the game's nice enough to put the cannon just over here. So let's activate the free one. Get the pig. And I believe at that point we'll do the free one. Well, once we've seen to understand that part, wire anyway. I quite like these bridges because they do feel like you're not supposed to be up here, because it's not really a path across. The path is an artificial one, you're just free running across the slats at the top of the bridge. I mean, they're just supports for the roof, really. We're not supposed to be up here. I mean, it was gamification that got us up here in the first place. But the angle here can make it actually quite tricky to get onto this particular slat. I mean, this particular slidey thing here. This can be kind of easy to miss, because you can just not quite jump far enough to actually grab onto it. I do like that in the farmer outfit he uses the chicken as the sliding mechanism. That's pretty cute. That is pathetic at this point at Red Brick, because wow, we already have 25 million and it's only going to get more ridiculous from there. We do not need sat-nav studs, that's charity work. So here on the other set of slats, on the other side that we couldn't get to before, and once we've got run over like an idiot, we'll see what we can do around this side before we actually finish things off with the free running sequence. Again, nothing around there, but it's always good to make sure, because you never know when they might put a super brick in some of those kind of places. And then we'll see what we can climb up on this side of the archway. Mostly just more super bricks, but that's fine. It's always nice to have a hilarious amount of those. That's why I quite like getting the multipliers quite early in these games, because your counts get hilarious and it's really satisfying to see the numbers just rocket up when you get like certain amounts of high value bricks when you've already like done all the super builds and stuff. It's really funny to see just how ridiculously high the number can get. But yeah, while it's not part of the major free running sequence, there is still a pretty fun one getting up this side of the bridge too. Because of course there's stuff on top of this part of the bridge as well. Why wouldn't there be? It's a big bridge. There's a lot of opportunities to put on stuff places. All of these bits going under the slats, the suspension part cable things, feel kind of weird because it feels like there's not quite enough room to get under there. It feels like you need to drop off the ledge a little bit and sidle underneath it on your hands, but you can't on these kind of ledges, and you don't need to anyway, but it just kind of feels like there's not quite enough room. And it does enhance the feeling of not supposed to be up here, but it makes it feel a little claustrophobic getting under there. Or maybe I'm just a big baby. But over here, we have our district to conquer. So there we go, conquering Heritage Bridge. I quite like those district conquers because it's really, keep mentioning with them, it's really fun to see just how high you get with those. They can be quite satisfying. I quite like that jump as well, that's a really fun jump, had to go that far. And finally see what was on that one too. So what I'm putting out here is me going to get a particular item that I'll need later, and then starting this free run to get it done. Did the free run first because the item's basically at the end of the free run, but I was basically going to the vending machine to get explosives, because I'm sure you saw that at the end of this course there's actually a silver statue at the end of the bridge that we're going to get. I actually failed this as well the first time through because, as I mentioned before, it can be very easy to accidentally miss that very final wire sliding down from here, and of course the first try doing this I missed it, so this is my second try. It's always really annoying when you get like these kind of free running sequences where they give you that one little kind of a weird camera angle or an overhang to hang on, some kind of dick move like that where it's just like, I don't want to do this on a time limit. It's annoying enough without it, yeah. But luckily this one's fairly inoffensive outside of that very final thing. And some of these free run sequences are quite satisfying to do in the time limit because you're just kind of moving and moving and moving, and you've already done all the building you'll need to do on previous run-throughs of it. So you don't need to slow down to break and build something, because it's already built. And that's pretty satisfying. That's why I quite like that this game leaves everything you've done in the overworld done permanently. That's a really good thing. There we go, the final clock, and so it spawned our little finish line. Part of the reason I got the red brick before going out is because I wasn't sure if it would interact weirdly with the free run. I didn't think it would, but I wanted to just make sure I wouldn't accidentally like break something stupid. I always like to make sure the gold bricks only really have to come one at a time in the overworld, just to make sure there's no weirdness in the overlap. And again, I'm really reasonably confident there won't be any, but you never know. And I don't want to experiment during an LP. Because this game has crashed a couple of times during recording, and that's been kind of annoying, because I had to kind of splice the videos together after that point. There we go, there's our silver statue as well. And that is Heritage Bridge completely completed. So, I will see you next time.